Okay, we've got we got some speakers that are very appropriate this time. Uh, Ray Parrish and Hannah Frisch are going, they don't need an introduction because Eugene Cherry already introduced them. So I think that nothing could be more appropriate.
It's been such a pleasure to be here this weekend and to meet you, to meet people I've never met before, to meet people I've only known on the phone, and to see people that I haven't seen for a while because they live out of town. So I'm very happy to be here with you. I became an activist in VVAW shortly after September 11th. And at that time, I was just totally freaked out about what was going on among my fellow American citizens. Yeah. Okay. What really freaked me out does somebody need the mic?
No, could the media please take their interviews outside? Please? Could you guys go outside? Bill, take him outside. Now.
Okay. Anyway, what freaked me out right after September 11th was the kind of passion for revenge that I was seeing among everybody in this country, practically, even among my own friends, that they wanted to bomb somebody, and they weren't real particular about who they were going to bomb. They just wanted to bomb somebody. And among the very few people who were opposed to the indiscriminate bombing of Afghanistan, of all of the different little groups, I knew that the only people who had a prayer of influencing this tide of vengeance was the people I knew from Vietnam Veterans Against the War. And because of that, I wanted VVAW's voices to be in the mainstream media so that people would hear them and think twice and think 3 times before they went around killing the wrong people. So what I started to do was media work and to raise money to enable us to have professional media advice. And I've been doing media and fundraising ever since. A few years after that, thank you. A few years after that, they asked me to be one of the national staff people, and Barry promised me that it wouldn't mean even one little bit of extra work. And well, you know how that worked out. But because the very calling me a national staff changed my sense of what I was supposed to do around here. And I began to feel like my responsibility was, insofar as I was able, to provide staff support to this organization as a whole, to troubleshoot, fill in gaps, just do whatever I could to make the organization fulfill its potential. And I know that VVAW, from the beginning, continuing all the way through the present, VVAW knows that these wars are not just out of ignorance and stupidity, although there's plenty of that going around. These wars aren't just out of machismo and ego, although there's plenty of that going around. VVAW has always known that these wars are about empire. And like even, in the build-up to Iraq, we saw the neocons openly cheering for the American empire. And fortunately, they're a little bit in retreat now, but we also know that we have to deal with most of the mainstream opposition to the neocons also wants to use military force to rule the world, but just to use it more judiciously. So your voices are needed to say to the American public, there is another way. We can take care of our own people. We can take care of our own people's energy needs without killing millions and ruling the world. So. Yeah. And you all should be very proud, and I'm proud, that almost 7,000 people have donated money to Vietnam Veterans Against the War. And that's because they have faith in you, and they believe that you can help end the war. And it's my very deepest conviction that VVAW is at a point where its opposition to the war can be increased to a dramatic new level. I don't know what that is. We need to have a vision for that, but we have the resources now to do things that we haven't been able to do in the last few years, in the current period, that we've done wonderful work, but we can do more on another level. And I think the most important task of this organization is to try to figure out what that is. And I hope we will be figuring that out. So in conclusion, I'd like to ask you all to recognize all of the national staff members, Charlie and Bill Branson, David Curry, Jeff Machota, our organizing secretary, Marty Webster, and of course, Ray Parrish, who's speaking next.
Folks, something I forgot to tell you. We VVAW share a 40th anniversary with the Black Panther Party.
That's right, that's right. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Ray Parrish. I'm only going to take up a few minutes, but I wanted to emphasize that the lesson you should learn from Eugene Cherry's experience is that what happens to the active duty people now goes on and on and on, over and over and over, until somebody steps in and says no. In Eugene's case, it was his mom. If it weren't for Eugene's mom, we wouldn't be having this discussion about him. Half the calls I get on the hotline here are from family members. Because let's face it, we're all crazy. Okay? We don't realize that. The people around us realize that. So, when Mom calls me up on the 4th of July telling me that her brand new husband is hiding under the bed because of the fireworks, I know what she's talking about, and so do you. So what I have to do, the best part of my job is telling people they're not alone, that people have been going through this over and over. Every war we go through PTSD. But now we've got a name for it. Now we have psychologists who can actually write out a letter, a medical opinion that will make a difference between an other than honorable discharge and no VA benefits and a general under honorable and keeping your rank. Okay, this is it. This is where we make the difference. The GI Rights Hotline is one of the things that we've been supporting for the past 10 years. And part of the reason the GI Rights Hotline works is because veterans are helping non-veterans understand what life is like in the military. But they need veterans doing this. That's one of the things I wanted to emphasize today, is that the GI Rights Hotline needs you to volunteer to be there as a resource person. When they have somebody talking about a Chapter 15, we know what a Chapter 15 means. But the civilians don't unless they've been through the training. A lot of civilians forget a lot of details that we have ingrained in our soul about what life in the military is like. So I want you to volunteer for the GI Rights Hotline. That's 1-800-FYI-95GI. That's FYI-95GI. It'll get you through to the counseling center closest to your zip code, your area code. And more than likely, it's going to be San Francisco or it's going to be Philadelphia, because we do not have enough of these counseling centers opened up. We need to open them up all over the country. So that's my one story to you, is that Eugene's story is the story of what it's like to go through the system when you've got help. We are not hearing 99% of the stories of Iraq vets because they don't have help. They didn't think help was available to them. They didn't have a mother to make the phone call and find VVAW. So, brothers and sisters, we saved one soul at a time, and there's thousands of more out there that we need to save. Thanks so much for Hannah and me.
Before we have a closing and a party and you get to eat, we want to do a dedication, which most of you know about, during dinner. And beforehand, we got together and we have photographs from 22 of our fallen comrades. There's a Vietnam vet memorial wall, and there's names of my relatives, names of my friends, names of my men on that wall. That's some remembrance. But those people, like Jack McCloskey, those people who made a difference, whether it was an hour or a decade, we have to remember, because no one else will. Ken brought his scanner. We asked people. So we got Clarence, we've got Jack, we've got Harold, we've got lots of people from Milwaukee and lots of people from Chicago. But we want you to get together with Ken so we can scan them, so we can show people. We're filming the whole thing. And that means that that means in the future. When we're old but more importantly, when future generations look, they'll remember our brothers and our sisters who have gone, the ones who have made a difference. And it's not in sorrow, but in happiness, remembering Wacky Jack. Who could not remember him and fucking not get a smile on your face? And that's where we're aiming towards. So again, you all know Ken. He's in the back by the bar. And then we're going to start.
Okay, we've got one last speaker. One of the hardest working members of the organization, a coordinator, a man who was a teacher for one of the IVAW people, a guy who has just been a rock in VVAW. Joe Miller will make some closing remarks. He is the nicest guy.
So with that kind of introduction, I'm the nicest guy, so I should say fuck you all? Is that? It's hard for me this time of the year. Every year from August 2nd to August 4th, I have a little bit of a rough time because I was in the Gulf of Tonkin in 1964 during those days. And it was on August 4th, 1964, 43 years ago, that the American people were being told that lie about the second incidents. We were being told, we were out in the South China Sea, and we were being told that lie. We didn't know any better at that time. One thing that did happen for me, however, a couple of days after that, and after we were hearing Johnson talk about all the, freedom of the seas and all that kind of bullshit. A couple of days after that event, our ship, I was on the USS Ticonderoga, happened to be refueling the USS Maddox. Now, the reason I was on the carrier, very quickly, the reason I was on the carrier was I had been kicked out of the Naval Security Group, which is the naval arm of the National Security Agency, because I married a foreigner. They didn't trust foreigners, right? So I was on this carrier, and we were refueling the Maddox. Part of my job during that time was to be above decks to time the process. They didn't know what else to do with me because I had a top secret clearance and I no longer had a clearance now. I heard people calling my name from the Maddox. And I didn't think I knew anybody on the Maddox. I discovered to my surprise, maybe not so much surprise, that all of my buddies from the Naval Security Group that I had served with on Taiwan were on the Maddox. Flash. I knew why the Maddox was out there. Flash. No wonder she was attacked. Yes, they would be attacked. They were about provoking some kind of response. Generally, they didn't want a military response. They wanted a radio response. So we didn't know. I mean, I just knew why the Maddox was out there. That was enough for me in 1964 to start asking questions. Presidents lie? I was raised to believe that presidents told the truth. I was raised to believe in the Catholic Church. I was raised to believe a lot of stuff that I'd learned over the years. So one of the things when this period hits me each year, it's especially nice to be going through it with this room full of people, brothers and sisters that I have worked with, sometimes argued with. Even though I'm a nice guy, I'm usually right. And partied with, probably too much. This organization went through some rough times in the early 90s, just after the Gulf War. And it's funny how we talk about the first Gulf War, just like it just kind of rolls off our lips, the first Gulf War. And to see it come from that period to now, is a sign of hope for me, particularly the relationship we have with the IVAW folks. Aaron was very kind to mention my work with him down in Champaign, but it was inside Aaron already. I didn't give him anything. He had it all, and you could see it in the way he talks to an audience, the way he deals with IVAW. We need to recognize that being there inside those young people. They're like us, believe it or not. They are us maybe 40 years ago, and we need them. So we need to be thankful that we're still around, like many of them have said that they're thankful that we're still around. We need to be thankful for our health. We need to take care of ourselves so that we can continue to do what we need to do. That's what we should be doing. That's what we should be about today. It's a rededication to what we've been doing for 40 years, and hopefully not another 40 years. I don't think I can handle that. I'm pretty sure I couldn't handle that. But again, just one other thing. I think I joined VVAW here in Chicago in 1969 with folks like Bart Savage, people like that, and we thought then that the impact we would have at that time and the impact we would have on ending the Vietnam War would be the end of all wars. We really thought that. I think we really believed it. And I think for a lot of people, we had that impact. We had that impact. They weren't going to trust the government again. Of course, hey, we all know we're not going to believe anything a politician tells us anymore. That's something that we learned the hard way. So we didn't end all wars. IVAW has got a strategy, kind of like what we did, and we need to help them make sure their strategy gets carried out and make sure that our grandchildren don't have to do this all over again. So thank you all for being here. I want to thank you for giving everybody the attention that you gave, even though we had to kind of corral you sometimes. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for people, particularly who came from out of town, who made the effort to be here. It's great to see everybody again. It's great to meet people I haven't met before. And hopefully we'll see each other maybe in another 5 years, and we'll have a party, a real party, because we're finally winning. Okay, thank you.
Okay, that's it. We're finished. It's the we finished a half hour earlier. Yeah, dinner's ready. Dinner is in the back. They have to pay for dinner. Yeah, the dedications will be at 7. And Cat's in charge.